Hello, everybody. It's Danielle from Wusa Holistic Health Coaching, back again to have another soulful conversation, all things holistic health. We're talking your mental, your emotional, your physical, and even your spiritual health and balance. As you know, last week I was, or not last week, but earlier this week, I was away working in the hair beauty industry, and I just made it back in late last night. And so I am here to get the ball rolling again with hopefully being able to work and talk with you guys daily, because that I really have enjoyed that, and I missed it when I was out of state doing hair, and my schedule was so back to back I wasn't able to do that. But I hope that you got my little short explaining that, and that we can get back on track now. So one of the things that happened while I was gone is I had this super cool conversation. And this conversation is inspired to one of my sisters. She's also a stylist and a salon owner as well. And we were talking about what it is that makes children turn out to be amazing adults. That the parents gave, they led them in a certain direction and they accepted it as adults. And then when they had their children, they wanted to pass that legacy on, because their childhood was so fantastic and they really bought in to the family values that they were given as children. So this was we always like to have super deep conversations, and I love that about her. We never just talk on the surface. Well, she was talking to a young man. He was in his late 20s, and she was complimenting him on the quality of his family. And she was saying to him, "What is it about you guys? It seems like all of you now as adults have taken on the value system that your parents gave you from childhood, and now you guys are passing it on to your children. They're now grandchildren, and everybody seems to be thriving and happy and living these like high quality, thriving, healthy lives." She's like, "What do you think the formula was for all of you to turn out so great? It seems like somebody usually goes astray, or somebody goes wild, or somebody decides that they want to be a loose living criminal, whatever it is. But for everybody to turn out so well," she asked him, "What do you think was behind that?" And so his answer is what's gotten stuck on me since that conversation, which, by the way, was Tuesday night. He said, "All I can tell you is all I remember growing up was that our house was filled with so much love that it just made us feel like, why wouldn't we do what our parents wanted? Why wouldn't we carry on the legacy that was given to us? Why wouldn't we pass on to our children what was given to us? Because it was based on love." And so my sister and I were talking, we're kind of batting it around like, She then said to him, "Well, can you give me more depth? What did it look like? How did it feel? What was going on?" And he said, "Well, let me give you an example. For one thing, my dad was so loving with us kids that if he went to work and realized he had forgotten to hug his kids and kiss his kids before he left for work and didn't say, 'I love you,' he would turn the car around and drive back home and do that, even if it meant he was going to be late for work." Now, am I criticizing anybody's parents who didn't do that? No, I didn't do it. But what I am saying is, wow, that had a huge impact on this young man's life, to where it changed the course and the direction that his life went. Now that he himself has his own family, his definition of love is very different than maybe someone else's, where maybe someone else's definition of, hey, you got clothes on your back, you got food in your mouth, you have a roof over your head, or something like, things like that. I personally am like very impressed and almost blown away. He is basically saying that the dominant vibrating emotion in their home growing up was a love that was so strong that everybody responded to it in a way that it motivated their moves moving forward through their lives with that same dominant emotion. Now, if you've been rocking with me for a while and hanging out with me on these videos, you already know that I'm really big on the emotional frequency chart, Because as discussed before, for those of you who haven't seen the previous videos, every emotion carries a vibrational frequency or a speed in which it moves. There's hardly a higher frequency than love. Love is one of the highest frequencies that there is. Now, there are others like peace and joy and enlightenment. Those are really, really super high. But if you can get to love, I mean, wow. But imagine if that's the dominant emotion vibrating through the home, what that would do to the children. So I started thinking, like, how many kids can really say that? Because I don't know that most children are operating in, I'm going to do what's right because I love mom and dad so much, I don't want to disappoint them. And that is the motivator for me doing what is right. Don't you think it's more common that kids are operating out of fear and maybe guilt or shame, which are very low vibrating emotions? My sister and I were talking about it, and I had to sit with it. I had to think about it because it's like, well, wait a minute. If I was told that this is the right thing to do, as are most children of the 70s and 80s, the reason it because, oh, I'm just obsessed with my parents. I love them so much, so I'm going to make sure I make my bed. It was more like, I'm scared of what would happen if I don't do it, which means you're operating out of fear. And then what if I don't do the right thing, then I might be guilted and then I might feel ashamed. I was like, wow, that is deep, because the conversation was, then how does that affect the way you see our Creator, who is love? Do we operate in our lives? Do we have high moral standards? Do we live clean lives? Do we try to be good husbands and wives and parents because of our love for the standards set by our Creator, or is it because we're just scared to mess up because something bad might happen to us? A very, very interesting thing to ponder, because if you think about love vibrating at 500 and joy and peace at 600 and 700, and then fear and guilt and shame way down under like 40, 50, 60, low vibrating, that changes everything. It changes everything. And so I was thinking about it for those who are still raising their kids, and maybe there's still time to shift gears and ask the questions. Are my kids, are they doing what I ask because they love me or because they're scared of me and what I may do to them? That's a whole different way to grow up. Now, of course, so many of us, we do the best we can. Our parents did the best we can, and they don't do better till they know better, and they don't know better, so they don't do better. But the point is, if we still have kids, what can we do now? Let's say they're adults. I've got a couple kids that are adults. They're young adults, but they're technically supposedly adults. Can I do something now to operate with more love than guilt, maybe making them feel guilty because they're not doing what I had hoped, or shame? What if I could project more love? Because as we know, all emotions ripple out and they have a domino effect. Would that change anything? Possible. Because vibrating at 500 is very, very different than dominating at like 50. The power behind that kind of frequency has got to be something to talk about, something to think about, something substantial. And so I was just thinking about that, like in all of our relationships, what is our motivating reason for why we do what we do to please whoever we are in that relationship with? I don't care if you're married, if it's a mother and father, husband and wife, friend to friend, cousin to cousin. Do we try to please those people because maybe, cousin so-and-so is crazy, so I don't want to make her mad because, she's going to act like this? Well, what kind of relationship is that if it's all based on fear of what she may or may not do? Mother and father, is their relationship to each other because, dad's cuckoo and he might smash up the house if mom burns dinner, or what? This is ridiculous. That's a ridiculous. But the thing of it is it's not that ridiculous, because there are people that do live like that, and there are families that operate in smashing stuff when they get mad. And the reason that dinner's on table at 6 is because dad might freak out. Is that what kind of household energy is that? And if that is in fact the household energy vibration frequency, what's happening with these kids? How are they going to feel growing up in that energy? Man, when I have been sitting with this thought since Tuesday night, my mind has been going, and really, of course, in the holistic way, thinking about the physicality and the mental and the spiritual and the emotional, and how important it is to base our moves on vibrational frequency, realizing that whatever our dominant emotion that we're carrying, it affects everything we do. There are people who go to work every day and they don't want to please their boss because their boss is wonderful and they love their boss and they want to do a good job. They only do that because they don't want to get fired and they don't want to lose their income. That's a whole different energy to bring to work than I'm coming to work because I love what we're doing. I love what we're working for. I love the mission. My boss is a great person. They treat us great. And my motivating emotional frequency is because I love where I work and I love who I work for and I love the people I'm with and I love what we're doing. You don't think that's going to ripple out to affect the customers and who's attracted to this business and who wants to support whatever we've got going on here? I bring this up because as this conversation came to me, it's got me rethinking a whole lot of stuff and every single thing that we do. Why do we do it? What's the dominating emotion behind it? If we have a baby, is it just because we love the fact that we're going to have this child and we're going to love this child and we're going to have so much love in the house that that's what they feel every day is love? Or is the kid operating out of shame, fear, guilt, and what's going to happen to me that, is going to ruin my day? It's something to think about. In my friendship with so-and-so, are they only calling me back because they don't want to catch, whatever wrath I'm going to have for them if they don't call me back? Or are they calling me back because they love me and they truly want to talk to me? Because when they talk to me, we have a great time together and we just really enjoy each other's company. Think about the ripple effect of frequencies, emotions, vibration, and it's going to be a game changer for all of us moving forward if we have this in our mind when we're moving through life. What is got a hold of us? What is dominating us in our relationships? Whether we're married, whether we're single, whether we're daughters, whether we're sons, whether we're mothers, fathers, parents, whatever it is, what is the dominating frequency that we're at? If it's love and above, we're going to have amazing relationships. Amazing. And if we're down there in grief and shame and apathy and guilt and all that stuff, there's going to be some problems. But that doesn't mean it's too late to change the game because we can't do better until we know better. So now that we have this story on the front end of this young man and all the kids in his family that turned out so wonderful, and they're spreading that family legacy to their own kids. And then it all just came down to we were loved. Our house was full of love. So why wouldn't we keep that going? That's what they remember growing up. They don't remember the fear. They don't remember the shame. They don't remember the guilt. They don't remember the fear. They just felt loved. That's pretty stinking awesome. And gives me a lot to think about. A lot to think about. In every interaction, every relationship, where am I coming from? What am I coming from? If we're giving jabs and digs and when we're interacting with people, where are we coming from? What are we doing that for? If we're trying to hurt people with our words or cut people down, insults, criticism, what is it all about? Why are we doing that? When we could be literally having the best time if we're choosing to lead with every relationship in love, joy, and peace. Well, that's a different look. And keeping in mind that it ripples out, people are going to be magnetized to us. They're going to love being around us. They're going to love being in our presence and spending time with us. They're going to want to please us and make us happy, not because they're scared of what happens if they don't, but because they genuinely respect us. They genuinely love us. They genuinely have a reverence, awe, fear in a healthy way, the same as we would have for the creator who made us. Not that we're terrified, but there's a respect there because of maybe admiration or reverence. What a different way to live and what a different way to think about life. It really spoke to me, and I hope it speaks to you. Talk about it with your friends. Talk about it with your kids. Ask them. It's scary. It is, but ask them. If you were to use one word off this chart to describe the way the home feels, which word would you choose? Ouch, it may be kind of scary what answer you may get, but that doesn't mean you have to stay there. You could say to the kids, we're going to make it our aim to change it, and we're going to do it together. And acknowledge, hey, I just didn't even know. I didn't even think about this. But now that I am thinking about this, I'm going to really work to make a change and make it so that our house is full of love, joy, and peace, so that you have a legacy that you can then pass down to your kids and beyond and beyond and beyond and on and on and on. So that's what's been on my mind. I hope that nobody feels like they're being put down or shamed because, hey, I have some kids. I definitely don't know what they would say. I'm sure that I would be, not super proud of what I would hear because, it's not until you do better that you know better. You always get raised, you got to make these kids do what you say and they got to be in line. I mean, I can remember as a kid, I was super duper close to my great grandmother. Well, the way she defined a good kid was a kid that sat down and was quiet and didn't run around the house. That's how she defined good. You think that didn't impact me? A kid that's running around and jumping off stuff and loud and crazy? They called that bad. Those were bad kids. Is that a bad kid though? No, it's just a kid. But if you heard your whole life that a kid who asked too many questions, was too curious, it was too hyper, ran around too much, I don't know, that made you bad somehow, that's going to impact your definition of a good kid and a bad kid. And so you may be wanting to kind of squash some of their, precociousness, curiosity, and, don't ask too many questions. Just do as I say and don't ask questions. That's a good kid, the kid that just is obedient and doesn't ask questions. So just look at it and think about it and sit with it, pray about it, whatever. Take another look because I'm thinking a lot of us got it wrong. We really, really got it wrong in understanding what love looks like. And then it's not so much about trying to control other people and making people do what you say and making them be who you need them to be for you to be comfortable. We are who we are. And as long as you're not hurting anybody or doing something awful, maybe you just have a different opinion or a different way of doing things, doesn't make you bad, doesn't make you wrong. But old school thinking, it can get us a little confused about that. And it's not, while we have breath in our bodies, it's not too late to change. It's not too late to be like, you know what, you're okay. You're all right with me. And if you like it, I love it. As long as you're not hurting nobody, not hurting yourself, it's okay. Leading with love. So that's what I'm going to be working on. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I know that leading with love means I'm going to be vibrating from a much higher place, which is going to have a ripple out effect that's only going to be better for me in the end, because love is where all the good stuff is, like all the good stuff. And who doesn't want that? So that is my message for today from Wusa Holistic Health Coaching. I hope that it resonates. I hope that you like it. If you do, please push a like. Please tell other people about this holistic space where we're going to create this safe community to have these courageous, soulful conversations about all things mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical health, and what we can all do to continue to level up and be the best version of ourselves. And remember that includes not forgetting to Wusa, because health and well-being and healing can never take place in an agitated body. Don't forget, Wusa everybody, and have a great night.